first off, thanks, Ronnie, for giving us a couple minutes. And second, I look at this is a big game for Army against Notre Dame. There's a lot of history, and they think about the game in the 40s and the 58 team winning the last game against Notre Dame, 14-2. But that 95 game was also special. And I don't know if you can just maybe tell us a little bit about that, just your memories of it. I mean, it went down to the wire, and it was one heck of a football game.
Right. The funny thing about that game is I remember being in the locker room, and Notre Dame, I guess our locker rooms were like side by side because you could hear Lou Holtz talking to the team. And pretty much he was saying, hey, we're going to go out there. We're going to end this quickly. They don't deserve to be on the same field that we do. We have a much better team than they do. Things like that. And I remember at the end of the game, it was such a great game. In fact, when we walked out on the field, we kind of got booed by some of the Notre Dame fans or yelled at by some of the Notre Dame fans. They definitely weren't cheering for us at all. And then it was such a good game. At the end of the game, the Notre Dame fans changed and, were cheering for us just as much as they were cheering for Notre Dame at the end. So it was a neat experience. I hate we lost. I don't know if you remember, but that was the year before they had overtime in college football. So it was either go for the tie or go for the win. And, of course, when Coach Sutton pulled us over and said, hey, what do y'all want to do? We were like, there's no question. Let's go for the win.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, it was an exciting game. We had a chance there at the end to win it and pull it out. And, the neat thing about that season to go along with that is, we were only 5-5-1 that year. But we played a bunch of really tough games. University of Washington, Boston College, East Carolina was a bowl team that year. Really close games, and it really kind of helped us propel us into the next season. Obviously when we went 10-1, it was a great learning experience to be able to play Notre Dame at Giant Stadium and play that close.
No doubt. I was meant to go over this before I was talking with you, but I'm guessing Notre Dame had some future NFL players on their team, right, or no?
Yeah, I think there weren't a lot of big names that I can remember. Dusty Ziegler is the one that pops out to me. He was an offensive lineman.
Yeah, sure.
I don't remember on the defensive side. Of course, I'm terrible with names anyway. Great concussions in college will do that to you. But I'm terrible with names. I know they had a big-time quarterback that was supposed to be a number one draft choice, and he ended up, I don't even know if he ended up getting drafted by the end of that season, to be honest with you.
Gotcha.
But
yeah,
it definitely wasn't some of the big names that in the NFL.
Gotcha. That, like you said, back then there was no overtime. You go for the win, and I mean, it must. That play is something that Army fans still talk about to this day. And I'm sure. Do you go back and watch the games that game at all, or do you? How do you handle something like that?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's a good memory and it's also a bad memory, right?
Yeah.
So it was a great game, but then we just didn't close it out at the end. The 2-point conversion, even though we completed the pass, we didn't score. I do remember that was the defensive play of the year that year, because that was back when they had the BCS college championship game and the bowl games. And I believe obviously if we had beaten Notre Dame, they would not have gone to a BCS bowl.
Yeah.
I think they would have lost out on $8 to $10 million back then, something like that.
Wow.
So that was a big deal, that Ivory Covington making that play on Lashinsky. And the funny thing is, Lashinsky hates to talk about it, which I totally understand. But, the big thing for him was he was supposed to be in the end zone, and he got hit across the face and kind of got disoriented, didn't know where he was. So when he turned, he was like, I feel like I was late getting out there. And by the time I got out there and I caught the ball, I thought I was already in the end zone. And then I turned and I was not. So, little things like that, just changed the whole changed that whole time period for us, because, we beat Notre Dame at that time. That's a huge win in Army history.
Right. And now this year's team, this year's edition is 9-0, and here's Notre Dame coming in number 6 in the country. Army's number 18. maybe the biggest game in a long time in Army football history, And I wonder, first off, have you gotten the chance to watch them this year, and what are your thoughts about the team this year?
Oh yeah, I watch them as much as I can. Love the team. I think they remind me a lot of us, the '96 team. To be honest with you, they have a really good defense. We had a really good defense. They had a power running quarterback. We had a power running quarterback. No, I'm just kidding. We did not have a power running quarterback. We had a power running fullback is what we had. But offensively, they do a really good job. They have a really good offensive line. We had a really good offensive line. And so there's a lot of correlations, honestly, to their team and our team. The only thing that Bryson and I have in common is that we're both from Texas. Really, other than that, I mean, the dude's a beast. He can throw the ball, he can run the ball. He looks like a linebacker. I mean, I love watching him play. I think he runs the ball 30 times a game. I think I ran the ball 6 times a game. So, but I really enjoy watching him play. And I'm rooting for them to beat Notre Dame. This would be a huge win for the program. It'd be a huge win for them. I would love to see them finish out strong and get in that final 12. That would be awesome. I'm sure that was a long shot at the beginning of the year, but that long shot has gotten much narrower now. So, but no, they're fun to watch. I enjoy it. I'm rooting for them. Obviously, would love to see them beat Notre Dame on Saturday.
What do you think a run like this would do for the program? I mean, it would be pretty huge. I mean, if they connect, they're 14-point underdogs, but what do you think they could do for the program and just in general for
Well, I don't know that it'll actually do anything for the program just because Coach Monken has such a well-oiled machine going there. I mean, he's bringing in the right kind of kids to come play. Mm-hmm. Obviously a win against Notre Dame is great for the program, but I don't know that it's really going to change the type of players that Monken's out recruiting and the ones he's getting. I mean, he gets those hard-nosed, buy into the program, buy into what Monken's offering them. And I think that will, obviously that will continue with the win versus Notre Dame. It's much better than losing, having the 9-0 season right now, that's doing the same thing, in my opinion, as a win against Notre Dame. I don't think it'll hurt the program if they don't beat Notre Dame, and I don't know that it will just completely change the program if they do. I just think that he's got a great thing going. He's doing a great job of coaching and recruiting and bringing in the right players.
Yeah, in the first year, right, to be in this conference, the AAC, and to go to the championship game and to have the potential to host that at Michie Stadium, that's something. Like you said, maybe they were a long shot at the beginning of the year to be in this position, but they played well enough and they've earned it, and people want to say the schedule. Well, look at the schedule. You can only play who's in front of you. You can't, especially with their schedule, right? You can only have 2 non-conference games, so to speak, and
when you look at the schedule, I'm like, yeah, look at the schedule all you want. They're playing Division I football. It's not like they're close. I mean, they're beating the crap out of most of these teams.
Yeah.
And these guys, the players that they get are different players than these other schools get. I mean, these guys are making a commitment for at least the next 5 years to be in the military. Yeah. And, these other guys are out partying, having a good time, waking up. I mean, they got a schedule too, I get it, but they don't have the schedule that these guys do at West Point. I mean, it's a totally different type of character. It's a totally different type of player. And for them to be able to do everything that they do and then go out and take care of business on the field the way they're doing, I mean, that's special in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. What do you think about, maybe last one, obviously the move back to under center options been a real success. I mean, what have you seen in what they're doing and what the first-year coordinator Cody Worley's doing with this offense?
I think it's awesome. I mean, I watched the offense. I'm like, man, this stuff is great. I don't know that I could have ran it as well because obviously they're running the quarterback 30 times a game. But, when we put in the midline option, I got a lot more opportunity to run the ball, and I love the midline option. They're running that power two lead with the quarterback following, and I think it's even better when they go heavy on one side and he backs up and then he goes weak side with the pulling guard and tackle and they score a touchdown with nobody over there. I'm like, obviously somebody's not watching film or something. That's a great play. Whoever came up with that play, but I love the offense. And then they can throw the ball. which he's very accurate with that. They got some good receivers out there. Obviously, the receivers are good blockers too, but everybody's just doing their job, and that's what makes that offense work. But it's very fun to watch. I enjoy it.
No doubt. They've been putting up a lot of points, and hopefully the same goes on Saturday. Yankee Stadium, Notre Dame, Army, 6 versus 18. It should be fun. Ronnie, really appreciate a couple minutes with you. Thanks so much.
You're welcome, Sal. Anytime.